Welcome to the next project. This is episode 2 in our Les Paul neck build project series. We have taken our big block of neck blank lumber and turned it into something like this now. It's ready to go into the body here, it's ready for a fingerboard there, it's ready for drilling some holes and putting tuners in it, and overall finishing and gluing and, well, a lot of other work. Let's take a look at what it took to get from there to here as we continue the next project.
So I've been trying to figure out what are the problems with this particular guitar neck. Well, in a perfect world, we have a solid chunk of wood and a fingerboard on top, but we ended up with a truss rod cut in, which removes a big chunk of lumber right up at the nut, which the neck really needs there. That's its weakest point. The fingerboard really had been doing a great job of protecting the neck all the way up to where the nut is. So we have all sorts of weak areas with this style of headstock adjustable truss rod. So what can we do about it? Well, better material choices would be a big help. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to borrow ideas from other people and put the truss rod adjustment at the heel, but not in the way where you have to remove a pickup to get to the truss rod adjustment. My truss rod only has to go up to about the first fret, and it leaves a lot of good solid lumber right up at the nut and around where the neck transitions into the headstock. So I think that's going to help this guitar immensely.
It's time to turn this chunk of lumber into a neck for our Epiphone Les Paul project. A lot of things going on in my head. That's scary. The Epiphone had anywhere between a 14 and 15 degree headstock angle. Hard to tell because it's broken off. My research says they're doing about a 14 degree headstock angle. Okay, sounds good. I'm thinking of doing around a 10 degree headstock angle and adding a volute just below and slightly beyond the nut area. Also, I was planning to reuse the original truss rod, and that could still happen, but I was like, it'd be nice to save as much lumber up in this area right around and below the nut as possible. And how can you do that if you put a truss rod in? Well, you put an adjustment wheel at the heel. I don't want to put it in between frets because that weakens the fretboard material. I don't want frets to get loose in that area. So a recent Fender I worked on had adjustment wheel at the very end of the heel beyond the very last fret. So I think I'm going to do that with this project also. So kind of borrow from other people's ideas. Hey, I do that a lot. So now it's time to map out where the neck is going to come out of this chunk of lumber and start cutting. And then we're going to shape the back of the neck using a new tool, fixture, contraption, jig. I think it's really kind of a tool that works in combination with router to shape the back of the neck. So I'm going to stop talking and get to work as we continue the next project. Yeah, I shaved.
Drawing a little bit darker line along my dimensioned finish line. I don't want to cut right up to the line, so I'm using this offset line a bit. Keep things safe. I'll sneak up on the final shape of this neck as we go along. And I'm using a 1/4 inch bandsaw blade here, which helps me maneuver around those slight curves that are in the profile of the neck. A wider blade would be great, but I can't get it in there. It won't make those curves, so I have to go with this thinner, narrower bandsaw blade for this. Now we're moving on to the router table, and I'm using a compression bit that is normally a 2-bearing bit, and I've removed one of the bearings, which would be the bottom bearing, but now it looks like it's on top because everything's upside down. I'm running that bit along an MDF fingerboard template to give me the taper of the neck along the fingerboard. At an interesting and exciting part of turning a big block of wood into a guitar neck. What we'll be seeing here in just a moment is a tool that I've been working on for the last couple of weekends, inspired by a video I saw a long time ago by a fellow named Bill Sheltema, a guitar builder out of Canada, I believe. And honestly, there's been a bunch of other people that have followed suit and built very similar tools, fixtures, jigs, contraptions, whatever you want to call it, based off of kind of his idea. And I don't know if it was his idea originally either. I will post a link to a lot of the inspiration that I got to build this. There's a fellow, Randy's Guitars and Broncos. He's posted a lot of recent videos. That was also very helpful. I borrowed a number of ideas from him. Here we go. We've got it. The neck is clamped to a thing called a cradle, and it has cams that are shaped to what the neck profile will look like if you cut a section through. And I'm using a bowl bit on my laminate router, and I've tried a bunch of different bits. This is actually the first real neck I've done. I did, I think, 5 or maybe 6 test pine necks on this just to get a feel for how it worked, try to shake down any issues I was going to have. I finally mustered the guts to just jump in and do this neck, and it went really, really well. I'm very excited about this. As we'll see, I did the bulk of the carving on this neck in less than 10 minutes, and it's very little labor. The hardest part is building the box and getting the cams figured out. And that's even getting easier. The more you do it, the easier it gets, like anything. But it turned out really good. And what I found using that bowl bit, it gives me a better shape and smoother finish. Less sanding will be needed. And honestly, the next neck I do, I'm going to use it again and do a little bit different technique. But we'll talk about that later. I will be doing a video about that tool in the near future. Some design plans will be in there too. Here we're gluing on either the ears or the wings, whichever you want to call it. Let me know in the comments what you call them. I jokingly said ears on the head, wings on the body in the previous video, but you know, what was the comment? I think something about Dumbo has ears for wings. Now I need to talk to Dumbo and find out what he thinks. He hasn't been around lately, so I'll have to track him down. Here I'm using kind of the wrong bandsaw blade. I should have the thin one on here to do that little cut, but you know what? I was set up. Away we went. Cutting off the excess from the add-on wings or ears on the headstock. Getting it mapped out, and I'm going to now plane the headstock flat. Here's a tricky thing too. We have the flat surface where the fingerboard will go, and we have to make sure that the face, the top of the headstock, is really at the same plane as that, not running crooked to it. So that could happen. So I had to be careful. I had to measure things, check angles, and get it propped up. And about right here, I was like, well, this was stupid. I could have done this differently, but you know, I was in motion. Can't stop things that are in motion. That router caddy or trolley, whatever you want to call it, from the neck shaping tool that we just looked at, I could have used that instead of sticking these 2 long rails to the top of that MDF board. Anyway, I could have used a tool that was already handy and ready to go, but you know, next time we'll do that. Anyway, this is going good. I've got it thicknessed. I'm making the headstock a little thicker than it was factory, and that is to again add a little extra strength to the end of the neck and headstock area. Here we're leveling out where the factory had glued the neck in, and it was close. You know, they got it in there, smeared a bunch of glue in there, shot a bunch of like a polyester primer over everything to fill in any gaps and cracks that there might have been, and it looked good, and it was stuck on there really well. But I'm going through now and trying to fix everything so it's as close to perfect as I can get it. Trimming away a little excess that is on the heel area of the new neck, and more test fitting, a lot of test fitting, measuring, head scratching, Oh, what am I doing? I don't know. More measuring. Procrastination. Think about it. And now we're getting close. We're cutting that kind of offset tenon into the new neck. Little chisel refinement work. Oh, it fits. What do you know about that? That's always a good thing. Doing a little more refining here, cutting the angle, kind of the shoulder of the neck, I guess, where it meets the body on one side. And it's going pretty good, making sure my scale length is right and alignment from the length of the neck to where it will hit the bridge. So we're looking really good. Now, using my homemade drum sander just to thin out, make it shallower, the heel, so it fits in nice. Fitting nice. Clamp down a little, who did I learn this from? I learned this from one of those YouTube guitar building channels. Sanding the heel to fit the body. And it's looking good, man. I'm really happy at this point. Really happy. Did I say really happy? I'm really happy. How happy am I? Ooh, I'm happy.
We are moving right along. We have got the neck rough carved on the back, big paddle made on the end, over thicknessed out here. I'm gonna make a thicker headstock than what came on this guitar just to add a little more strength up in this area. Also have the thrust rod trench done. We've got the neck rough fit, which actually it's pretty close to being done. Into the body, it stays put. It fits pretty nice all the way around. I do need to finish my shaping back here at the volute and the headstock. And before I was working on this part, I was thinking about doing that. And you know, that would really make me feel good having headstock shape all done. Then I was like, well, if I spend a bunch of time on that, get it right, and then I screw this up, wasted time. So I wanted to get this done first and we're good. Now I can focus on that and shaping the back of the neck. Also used the fingerboard on here, checked the projected string trajectory over the bridge. That's looking good. We will need to adjust the bridge to get our action where we want it, but that's why these things are adjustable. And I've got it as low as it's gonna go at the moment. Not too low though. I don't wanna have to sink the bridge into the body. That would be an extra challenge. So we're looking really good. Truss rod adjustment down here just after the 22nd fret, right in front of the humbucker pickup ring. So it'll be kind of between the 22nd fret and the ring. So it'll be right there. I think that'll work out pretty good. Maybe Epiphone should do that. They're not Gibson. They can kind of do what they want. Well, probably not. Gibson probably wouldn't let them. I don't know. So we're ready to move on to the next step, which is probably some work here, and back here. I'm gonna take an allergy pill because I'm sneezing my head off, and we're gonna get back to work as we continue the next project.
Center line, center line, center line. Everything needs to revolve around a center line. I haven't talked about that enough in this episode. But I did scratch in my center line, making a template of the Epiphone headstock shape, which is going to go pretty well. And actually I didn't show it, but I did make a half of this full shape also, and we'll be seeing that in just a moment. I'll be going to the sander. But just doing some rough cutting with a jigsaw. This will be my final working template, but to make my working template, I'm doing a half. You know, if I split it right down that center line, I'm making a half and getting it perfected. And then I will tape that to my working template. And then I route around the half, flip it over, route the other half. And that way I have a perfectly mirrored headstock shape. Have the half template stuck down to what will be the working template, and I flipped it over, routed the other side. Now both sides of that template are identical. Cleaning it up a little bit and breaking out the super glue. Gonna make this MDF template hard. Once it dries, just give it a little scuff sanding just to knock down any fuzzies, and it is going to be ready to use. Okay, we know where the headstock shape fits on the top face, but I actually have to do my rough cutting from the back. And due to the neck slope on this, I can't just slap my flat template on there and expect everything to be good. So I have to maneuver around that just a little bit, make a paper template to draw the shape on the back. And here you can see I have the face down against the table. I couldn't flip the neck over easily and get that cut out. So, oh, there's a workaround for everything. Here we go, putting some pattern tape, double-sided adhesive like masking tape, and our working template down, using that compression bit again. Both bearings aren't this time, but I'm using the one closest to the table. Keeping my fingers away, that is a mean bit. It will ruin your day or your year. Probably, well, we'll leave it at that. We're moving on, oscillating spindle sander, doing some rough shaping of the blocky, chunky parts of the neck yet. And this actually goes pretty fast. I didn't hook up my dust extractor, which I should have, and you can see there's dust flying all over. I'm silly, crazy. And I've got allergies too. Why do I treat myself like this? At this point, we've got 5 minutes worth of sanding using that oscillating spindle sander. Now we're ready to start rasping away. Clamp the neck and some of the cutoff material to help hold it to just a long chunk. This is actually oak, but it could be anything. Could just be a 2x4 or a 2x6. Bolt it right to the end of my bench. And I'm able to easily access all sides of the neck. I see a lot of people clamping like the headstock right to, the kitchen table or their bench or whatever. Boy, that puts a lot of strain on the headstock. A lot of sanding. Oh, love sanding. A lot of hand sanding. Oh, we're at 22 minutes in already, which actually is going pretty quick. You figure 10 minutes to route the shape. We got another 22 minutes so far. Whoop, wardrobe change, and I think I had a sandwich or something. But we're getting close. The neck is really close to the final shape here along the back. Tweaking the volute area just a little bit. And there will be more sanding right up at the volute area, but that will be in the next episode because I will be adding binding to this headstock. So that's another step, but I ran out of time. And here we're at 38 minutes of sanding. That's a lot of sanding. It's feeling good, but it's not quite there yet. I'm a little picky at times. So a little more sanding, finding little sanding scratches, you got to work them out. Keep going. When you think you're done, that means you're about halfway there. Here I'm checking the uniformity, the symmetry of the shape along the neck. And it's looking pretty good. I know you really can't see it too well, but it's looking pretty good. And back by popular demand is the old Epiphone Les Paul headstock face veneer. I'm taping up the new neck here just because I'm going to be smearing glue. Oh, there it is. And there's the smearing. I knew it was going to happen. I just want to keep as much glue off the sides of the headstock as possible. A couple drops of super glue, and that's just to hopefully more quickly bond the veneer to headstock face. It is time to start wrapping up this episode, and I want to thank everybody for sticking with me through this one again. It's great having the family that we have here join me through this. It's good to know that other people are interested in this kind of thing and share their comments and their concerns and their projects. That's all great. I enjoy hearing everything. Please subscribe if you haven't done so already. Hit the thumbs up button. That does something good. Leave comments. I love hearing from everybody. And until next time, please take care of yourself and those around you. Bye.